All right, so welcome to the Being the Change, a GLCC culture of service. Now, this class is less of a teaching kind of class, and it's more of a discussion and a sharing about what the GLCC culture of service has been and what it will continue to be, and talking about specific ways in which people can get involved to really make a difference. But it's something that I would say that the church here, the Great Land Christian Church, really prides itself, or has prided itself for many, many years on being a very community engaged church. A church that really goes out and makes the effort to get into the community, to make a difference, to get out there and to really change people's lives. And we've seen that in so many ways as not just a box to check, not just a thing that we do because it's the right thing to do, but we see it as an integral connection part of what it means to follow Jesus and what it means to build his church. And so, I mean, in essence, that's what I want to talk about today, is just what that is, how it's impacted me personally, and then just to kind of give us a hoorah to continue to go after this, and to continue to build and really hand off to all of you guys that culture of service, to take it and to run with it, to make it yours. So I'm going to start out with a video. You're probably not going to be able to hear any sound. Maybe you won't be able to see it even. I'm not sure, but we're going to find out, and we'll go from there. This is just kind of a fun video that Simone threw together just to remind us about some of the cool things that we've been doing. Yay!
So convincing.
Oh man, that was worth it just to have that.
The awkwardness.
Okay. Yay!
That's
right.
Fairbanks.
That is. So if you're coming to a church service in Fairbanks, that's literally what the group is like. That's what we're just very quiet and kind of like, get excited, and it doesn't mean they're not excited. It's just
It's all internal.
That's it. That's all we get. So I want to share this passage that was on the video and read it out loud. It's Matthew chapter 20, verse 25. It says, Jesus called them together and he said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." You know, if any church is to follow in the footsteps of Jesus, if any church is to duplicate or to imitate the ministry of Jesus, it will lead to serving others. It will lead to getting into the community. It will lead to finding and identifying and providing help for the poor, the needy, the disenfranchised, the disadvantaged, people that don't have the services that they need. And, you know, I think that the Great Land Christian Church, GLCC, has really exemplified this over the years. And this is, again, it's not just a thing that we do. I really believe that it is who we are as a church and as a family. And it is deeply ingrained, as the video said, deeply ingrained into our DNA to get out and to make a difference. And so I want to share my story of how this has all really played out impactfully in my life. And thus, if you're in my other class, or if you've heard me teach on serving and community engagement at all, which I've done often, you're going to understand a little bit more about why I'm so passionate about this and why I really love telling people about this sort of thing, because in so many ways, the GLCC culture of service changed my entire life and everything about my life. So Carol Paredes invited me out to church in January 2008 during an English class that we were taking. And at that time, I was interested in being recognized for being a Christian. I was not interested in any way, shape, or form in being a Christian or living the life of a Christian. I liked going to the church, but I was not interested in living the life as a Christian at all. But because of that desire to be identified as a Christian, the kind of desire to feel Christian-y, I studied the Bible. And through the course of studying the Bible, and as people like the Nadins, the Paredeses, the Poyers, the Hankins, all of these other individuals, as they invested in me and shared their lives with me, and through that process of studying the Bible and learning about it practically, I was invited also to go and serve. Now, I had always been someone that enjoyed service. Maybe not always, but for most of my kind of adult life to that point, I was only 18 years old, so not really adult life there. But to that point, I was really engaged in service. I really liked volunteerism. That was mostly in part due to the fact that when I was little, I shared this story in my other class, but when I was really little, my mom dragged me out to as many service projects as she possibly could. And I was that whiny type of child that every single time that she dragged me out to go do something, to go serve, to go do the soup kitchen or to serve at the church or whatever, I always inevitably asked, "Mom, why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do this?" And my mom, in all of her calm and sweet Filipino motherliness, turned to me and always said, "Nick, we don't have to do this. We get to do this. We get to serve. We get to make a difference." And, although that built a lot of great character into me as far as going out and serving and making that a priority or volunteering, I did a lot of that, but honestly, it was never really connected to Scripture. It was never really connected to God outrightly. And as I learned the Bible for really the first time, as I was studying with Ray or with Mark or with Ed or whoever it was, the many people that tried to help me and eventually succeeded, but after a lot of trial and tribulation. But as I saw this and as I was invited out to serve, it was really for the very first time that I saw Christianity lived out in a real, practical, tangible way, a real, tangible impact on the lives of others. And so as they invited me out to serve, I saw a whole new perspective on what it looked like to live as a Christian, because I had gone to church my entire life. I had gone to dozens of different churches, of different denominations, and no matter where I went, I had just never seen this part of Christianity. It was just something that I had not really ever experienced at all. And so I saw for the first time Christians living out Christianity in real ways. And it was a huge part of why I became a Christian, because it was inspirational, and I saw the reality of what it looked like to really follow in the footsteps of Jesus. And so that became to me becoming a Christian in November of 2009. I'm excited that this November will be my 10-year anniversary as a Christian, 10 years birthday as we call it, right? So I'm really pumped about that. But it doesn't stop there. So I became a Christian, and that service and volunteerism and the culture of service in the church was a huge part of why that happened. So that's very much the most important thing, right, for me. That's just that changed my life in incredibly drastic ways, to be able to know God for the very first time. But it doesn't stop there for me. So around the time I became a Christian, the church had been running an after-school program for the Alaska Native Cultural Charter School, if some of you happen to remember that. I had volunteered there a time or two, and right about then, Hope Worldwide Alaska had been given a grant for the AmeriCorps program. If you're familiar with the AmeriCorps program, it's a service-based program. Volunteers get paid a really wimpy stipend to go and serve like 900 hours of their life in a very specific capacity. And so the Hope Worldwide Alaska had been given that grant, and we were given 4 AmeriCorps workers to come help bolster this after-school program at the Alaska Native Cultural Charter School, and it provided for a little bit more organization. And so at that time, Ray had asked me to work for the school, to be the site supervisor for this AmeriCorps program and for the Alaska Native Cultural Charter School. And so I was offered this job to run that program. Soon after that, the Alaska Native Cultural Charter School got a bigger grant from a more widely known national program for after-school programming. And so essentially what happened is after a couple of semesters of me running this after-school program, they kicked the Hope Worldwide program out because they were getting a better program, a bigger program. But what they needed for that program was a director, someone to run it. And I had been serving in this capacity for a while. It was a job, but it was also a service. And as they were looking for a director, I was encouraged to apply for the job. And so I interviewed and so on and so forth. And then this is now in my last semester of college in 2010. In the fall, I was given this job to be the 21st Century Community Learning Center director for the Alaska Native Cultural Charter School, or coordinator for the Alaska Native Cultural Charter School. And so serving and volunteerism led me to this part-time job, which led me to my very first real big kid full-time job out of college. And even I landed that job before I was actually done with school. But then I was able to, once I finished with my degree, I was able to jump right into full-time work. And I worked at that job for 2 years. And it was, again, through service that I was able to do this. Through community engagement, I was able to get this job and kind of establish this part of my life. And interestingly enough, as this program was kind of unfolding and doing more things, this girl came up from Boise, Idaho. She had just graduated from college. She had planned to come up to help out with the campus ministry here in Anchorage, to serve in the ministry in a bit. And then she decided to become one of these AmeriCorps members. I did forget one detail, is once I did become the director of this program at the Alaska Native Charter School with the bigger grant, I was able to hire back all of my Hope workers. And so we were able to continue to serve in the community, which was really great. But again, as this whole thing is unfolding, this girl comes up from Boise, Idaho. She wants to become an AmeriCorps worker, and so she ends up coming and serving alongside me at the Alaska Native Cultural Charter School. And she was planning on doing her term of service with AmeriCorps and then going back home. And of course, if you haven't figured that out by now, that girl's name was Natalie. Who is now Natalie Morrill. So she obviously, she did not go home, right? She did not end up going back home. And it's funny because I think about even our dating relationship. When was the first time I actually thought that I might be interested in this girl? Well, it was when we went to Fairbanks, Alaska, and we organized a week-long service project, a spring break service project, to clean out and to renovate the Boys and Girls Club in Fairbanks. And that when I saw how we worked together and we served together, it was something I was like, oh wow, this is really, really cool. That was kind of the first inklings of when I thought that I liked this girl. And so that was in like March 2011. We started dating in April 2011, and then we were married in June 2012. And then in 2012, I was also asked around May, June, I was asked to step into the full-time ministry, and here I am today, still involved with the Hope Worldwide chapter, and still doing a bunch of different things for Hope Worldwide and continuing to serve in different ways in my life. And so it's interesting because I look through, I think about these like huge components of my life, like even from a worldly perspective, the things that everybody looks to as like these are the milestones of what living the American dream should look like. You know, there's the job, there's the degree, there's the spouse, and again the full-time job that comes from that. And I look at those things, and all of those aspects for my life are integrally attached to serving in the community, like through Hope Worldwide, through the culture of service that GLCC built between Hope Worldwide and just getting out in the community and serving, making a difference. It has literally affected every major part of my life, from the jobs to the wife to everything. And so because of that, I have become super motivated. And if the Fairbanksons can know, and they're probably tired of hearing about me talking about going out and serving and how it impacts people's lives for the better. So my conversion, my career, my marriage, they all tie back and point back to service and volunteerism in the community. And so the culture of service has just changed my life in the most profound ways. And so again, service is not something that we just do. Mm-hmm. It's just not this thing that's kind of like add-on to our church. It is who we are. It's deeply embedded in who we are, and it's something that completely has changed the lives of not only me, but I know many other individuals, even in this room, can share how either Hope Worldwide or how the church and how the desire to get involved in service has changed who you are and the direction that you've gone in your life. And so when Carol reached out to me in 2008 in that English class, little did I know that I was going to get swept up in this culture of service that the Nadins, as they had just come in 2007, this is what they were doing. This is what they were starting, is this kind of upswing of getting involved in service. And so all of these things that the church has done are awesome. And I just want to share a little bit about this, about these things that have happened and continue to happen in GLCC and what we do. So this is kind of a history lesson, just to encourage us and to remind us about what has been done. So one, we have an amazing partnership with the Boys and Girls Club, and here we are at the Boys and Girls Club. Mm-hmm. They don't charge us for this facility. They let us use this facility. Why? Because we've come here over and over and over again and served. Mm-hmm. And they've done some things that are like just unheard of partnerships. They've given us buses to be able to run our programs. They're just like, yeah, take them. And they don't do that anymore because we hit a moose. But before then, they just wanted to come out and we wanted to serve, and so they've continued to partner with us. We continue to serve them here, and so we have this incredible partnership with the Boys and Girls Club, and that has affected. We do it here in Anchorage. We've served at the clubhouse in Fairbanks for sure. We've served at the clubhouse in Eagle River. All of the clubhouses here in Anchorage we've done something with, but then it's gone outside of just the big cities. We've served at the Boys and Girls Clubhouses in Kotzebue, Norvik, Selawik, Kivalina, Tyonek, Metlakatla. And we've gone to all of these different places and have been able to, again, build an incredible partnership. We've cleaned and renovated and run programs and services for their kids. It's just been incredible. And through that partnership, through our partnership with Hope Worldwide. 2010, we did the Top of the World Camp. Any of you guys remember that? Top of the World Camp. So Top of the World Camp was a sports leadership and arts and entertainment camp in Barrow, Alaska, that we did in June of 2010. It brought over 100 kids from all of these different villages over the kind of this north coast of Alaska, brought them all together, encouraged them, inspired them to be leaders, gave them training in sports and leadership and arts. And again, all of those things are kind of skill-based, but what that did is that it gave them confidence and helped them to see who they could be, gave them a hope and an inspiration for their futures. And so it gave them this amazing opportunity to be able to serve and to really make a difference, go back into their communities and make a difference with that confidence. And as I already mentioned, we had this historical partnership with the Alaska Native Cultural Charter School, which has impacted many lives in the city of Anchorage. And again, those AmeriCorps workers, Morgan Swallow was one of them, Natalie was one of them, as I had mentioned, Shay Naden was one of them. A lot of these people that came from different far-flung places in the world and came here, they served, and now they're here in Alaska continuing that culture of service. So it impacted their lives. And again, even just the Alaska Native Cultural Charter School, that partnership really changed a lot of things for people. We did the after-school program, we did spring break programming, and then the big thing, right, that we've continued to do, right, 2013, is we started a camp. We broke ground at the Gateway to the Arctic camp, and we started with 101 acres of trees. Of 101 acres of nothing but trees. And in that first summer, what did we do that first summer, Keith? We built 4 cabins. We plowed a road, chopped down the trees.
Almost killed each other.
A lot of near-death experiences.
Yes.
Yep. We talked about safety in our last class. Isn't interesting? Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. So we took this 101 acres of trees, and now it's 9 cabins. We have a sauna. We have this incredible lodge. We're converting the Ted Shed into a group home facility. It's been this tremendous opportunity. There's tens of thousands of hours of volunteerism, tens of thousands of hours of volunteerism since that time that has built this incredible, amazing camp. Scotty was an intern and put zillions of hours into building the rock wall, the making our lodge beautiful, doing all this work. Like it's insane to think about all of these different things that we've been doing. And again, what more importantly than all of those things is we've been able to build a supported employment program through the camp. Yeah. And I don't know about how much you guys know about this program, but what it's been able to do, we've been able to employ people with disabilities who experience disabilities, giving them meaningful work. And that's really, out of context, that might not be very exciting, but the reality is it is so difficult for people who experience disabilities, especially intellectual or developmental disabilities. It is so difficult for them to find meaningful work. Most of the work that they find is janitorial, or it's something that is in the middle of the night, separated from all other humanity, because that's the way that the world honestly views people with disabilities. Let's help them, but let's keep them at a safe distance, essentially. Yeah. That's kind of how our world views it. But the Gateway to the Arctic Camp has been able to build this program that is able to employ these people and give them meaningful work. And what do I mean by meaningful? Well, they've been building stuff, they've been learning skills, and they've been helping grow food. And so over this course since 2013, when the Gateway to the Arctic Camp started, we've donated over 4,000 pounds of produce to the poor and needy in the Mat-Su Valley. And so it's been so incredible to see that continue to grow, to make a difference in the lives of people. And again, it's changed people's lives. It's given people meaning. We've run these camps for over 100 youth they've been excited. We have a camper that comes by the name of Michael. We had shared his story a couple of times during our midweeks and things like that. Michael had extreme difficulties, and he gets out to the camp and he can be Michael. He can go and run, and he comes back from our camps, and he's a totally different person. His mom calls us afterwards and is like, what did you do to him? Because he's been so much more respectful. He has disabilities. It's really a struggle for him, for school, for all of these different things. And he comes back, and he's fired up. He's excited. Again, the camp has been changing people, meeting people where they're at, and helping them and just in ways that we can't even understand. And again, through all of this, the GLCC has continued to maintain a really great partnership with Hope Worldwide Corporate, and we've done that through Hope Youth Corps, or Hope Volunteer Corps as they're more known now. And what Hope Volunteer Corps has done is they've sent up we've done 15 programs to date with Hope Volunteer Corps or Hope Youth Corps, and they've brought up anywhere from 10 to 60 people, and they come up for 2 weeks at a time, and they serve. They've served us. They served the church. They've served at the camp. We've sent them in our earlier years. We sent them all over to Kivalina and to Kotzebue and to Selawik and to Norvik, so they can help out with a lot of these boys and girls clubs renovations. And so we've been doing all of these things since 2011. 15 programs since 2011. Thousands of hours served, and there's more on the way in 2019. And so this is just a snapshot of the things that we have done as a church. It's crazy, and it's awesome, and it's exciting to be part of something like that. And all of us have been in some way, shape, or form impacted by it, have been involved in it. And so it's so cool. Like, just I want you guys to have a vision for how awesome and how unique this is. This culture of service that we have is not normal. It's not normal in church world. It's not normal in the world. It's just we're just weird because we get out and we serve. And the things that we've been doing with the visionary leadership of Ray Naden going out and really aggressive on this front has changed the lives of so many people. It's something to be proud of. Not proud in like the we're awesome sort of way. I mean, we are awesome, but proud of God has done amazing things through service here. And we want to continue to do that. And you know what's interesting about this? Ray came in 2007. For those of you that were around in the church in 2007, I wasn't. I was just kind of on the shift. But the church was recovering from a lot of things in 2007 when the Nadens came and started to lead and started to get us as a church involved in service. And for 10 years, you know what happened to the church as we did this, as we got involved in service and community involvement? We grew. The church had 10 years of growth, and we want to look at our fellowship of churches. I'm not trying to boast about us. I'm trying to boast in Jesus and what he does through serving the poor, okay? But in those 10 years, we outpaced growth-wise just about every other church in the U.S. It's crazy, right? And again, I'm not trying to boast about us as people. I'm trying to boast about what happens when we really commit ourselves to the ministry of Jesus. And we get out there and we make a difference, and we're focused in this regard, in this culture, to serve, right? And I believe that we grew for that 10 years because of one thing. This is what I believe about it. John chapter 1, verse 43. This is a scripture that I think that you'll see where I'm going with it. John chapter 1, verse 43, it says, "The next day Jesus decided to leave for Galilee. Finding Philip, he said to him, 'Follow me.' Philip, like Andrew and Peter, was from the town of Bethsaida. Philip found Nathanael and told him, 'We have found the one Moses wrote about in the law, and about whom the prophets also wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, son of Joseph.'" Nazareth. Can anything good come from there? Nathanael asked. "Come and see," said Philip. See, just as Nathanael didn't really believe, just from hearing about this guy Jesus, he didn't really believe. And just as Nathanael didn't really believe, we live in a culture that does not really believe when you just tell people about Jesus. We don't really believe as a society when you say, "Come to church because it's awesome, it's going to change your life." We don't really believe that as a society. The world doesn't believe that. They need more, right? We don't believe just from hearing. So what do we need? We need to come and see. Come and experience it for ourselves. Come and recognize and see God working. And so what is one of the best ways to help someone to go from the world to seeing God's love and to experiencing how he changes people's hearts? One of the best ways to do that is to serve. is to take those people out to serve, to show them, let them see God's love. Help them to understand and experience God's love. And it's so practical, because when we serve others, we engage in the ministry of Jesus. It's not theoretical. It's not just reading the Bible. It's not just sitting down and doing Bible studies. It's not even sitting in a room like this and talking about it. It's engaging in it. It's going and actually making it happen in very real, practical, tangible ways. And when we do that, and when we help people with that, right, Jesus leaps off the pages of the Bible, because you can touch it, you can see it, you can feel it, you can see the ministry of Jesus in action, and that impact can be seen, it can be felt, and for so many people, that's what we need. And I'm not talking about just evangelism and getting people from the outside of the church to come into the church. I'm talking about us. We need to experience it. And when we don't see it, we don't experience it for ourselves, what do? Well, we get lukewarm in our faith. Yeah. We get bugged by things, and we start turning inward, and we start fighting with each other, and we start getting all these quibbles and quabbles that don't really matter at all. But when we get outward focused and we just recognize the love of God and how he shares it with people through service in the community, we don't fall into those traps. We don't get stuck in our faith, because we're going out, we're really making that sort of difference. And so for many people, and for us, again, we need that. We need to come and see, as Nathanael needed to come and see. And as we serve, we show people the impact of Christ. Because, again, we live in an age where truth is relative. So you try to come at people and you try to tell them the truth of the gospel, they're like, that's cute, but truth is relative, so it doesn't matter. But when you show them the truth practically, it makes a difference. It does make an impact, and it helps us see him. But I'll be honest. I think we can be honest in a group like this. Hopefully we're honest in every group, of course. But Ray and I have been talking about this, and for the last couple of years, I think that this culture has slid a little. We've gotten a little bit away from really getting out there and really being aggressive and really, really in this mindset of service. Now, I think that the tide has been turning, because this last fall, we did a bunch of new stuff when we really went out, and we started the Hope Worldwide clubs and really got them going in Fairbanks, and then in Anchorage, there's been this focus on getting back to serve. And that's really, I think, so much of what we need to do. Right? The culture of service, I don't think it ever went away. I don't think we were ever so far gone from it. There's always some stuff going on and some ways to serve. But I think that full on, kind of what the what's that word that Steve talked about? The Homo Thumanamadan. It sounded like a dinosaur. That's what I kept thinking about. Whatever that dinosaur word was that he was using, that was Greek, right? Like that rushing together to do something. I think we did lose that a little bit in our service. But I think that's something that we can get back, right? To rush together to serve, to make an impact, and to get back to the things that, like what Reese was talking about earlier today, realizing that the hole in our soul is not going to be filled. We're never going to be fulfilled until we do what God made us to do, which is to make a difference in the lives of others. And so over this past fall, we started the revival of the church culture of service. In 2019, we want to build on it. We want to really make a difference, and really want to push that even further for God's glory. So before I talk about the plans, is there, from you guys, like, in what ways have you experienced this culture of service? And can we talk about this for a little bit? What do you think about the up and down, the thing with the statement that I just made? But what are your thoughts? Great.
Not
Awesome.
everyone at once.
I think with the culture of service, it's getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because I was one of the ones that went to Barrow.
Yes.
That was a major culture shock.
It was something else, wasn't it?
Just not necessarily dealing with, but talking to the kids that came, because they came from the villages. And Barrow, you have to understand, has no traffic lights, and the only paved road is the runway
Right.
from the airport. And some of these kids that came in from the villages are like, oh, this is the big city.
Yeah.
And I was
thriving metropolis of like, what, 5,000 at that time.
There's just, total culture shock. And part of that is just living in Alaska.
Yeah.
Because it's so diverse. But, not being afraid. If it's out of your comfort zone, if it's not something that you're interested in, or even something you don't think you're good at, try it anyway.
Give it a shot. Yeah.
Because you never know until you try.
Yeah.
What we like and what we don't like, that's easy. But that just because you like it doesn't mean you're good at it.
Right. Yeah, totally. I agree with that. Other thoughts? I mean, just stories of impact or yeah.
I can say for myself, obviously it's made an impact on my kids.
Yes.
Both of them and just where they're at and what they've done. But for myself, and if we're really truly being honest here,
I don't recommend. I'm just kidding.
I usually don't either. But anyway, I just don't have a heart to do it as much as I need to.
Sure.
And
sure.
so that's where I'm at, and
Yeah.
that's why I need to really figure out more. When I go, there's plenty of times I go to the Beans Cafe and I go to food bank and stuff like that. I actually love it once we're there and we're having a lot of fun. It's just a matter of getting out. But I tend to find
putting it in the calendar and
yeah.
Sure.
And so I think for myself, it's just trying to have that heart to want to.
Yeah.
It's easy to do it with people I hang out with and in just my little groups. But going above and beyond that is way out of my comfort zone.
Sure.
So.
Absolutely.
So that's just being honest.
Yeah, totally.
Well, along those lines, I was in your earlier class.
Yeah, sure.
I've always thought that I've always felt I'm a compassionate person, but what am I doing with it?
Sure. It's a great question. Yeah.
I do little things here and there, but I can do so much more.
Sure.
So that was a good class to get me motivated.
Yeah.
And since I am retired, come on.
Yeah, sure.
I could be doing a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
So that was really thought-provoking.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah.
So
it is one of the. It is a matter of self-awareness for so much of us, right? It's to be like, could I be doing more? And and the answer, like if you're doing a lot and you're getting burnt out, maybe the answer is no, but at least you thought about it, right?
Right.
Or it's like I could be doing more. And what is that going to translate to? What is that going to look like practically to get out and actually do something?
I feel, I don't have a problem going into new groups, new areas, luckily.
Yeah.
So it's like, the sky's the limit,
Yeah, totally.
I was even thinking about the American Cancer Society. There's just so many, many things out there. So I'm going to get going.
All right, I like it.
All right.
Any other thoughts or stories or things that you've seen, or would you agree with? How about the statement that I made of it's seen a dip over the last couple of years and coming back? Do we agree with that statement?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think I like your idea of the combining this with rushing towards this together. For me,
The dinosaur word.
yeah, for me, I don't like people.
Sure.
I don't mind serving at all, and I can get there and I can do it and stuff, and it's no problem for me at all. But what I dislike is inviting people to do it with me. That is definitely good for me to do.
Sure.
And it's good for the rest of our church, and it's good for even my friends that aren't involved in the church. It gives them a chance to see our church getting involved in the community. But I don't like being that person trying to send a bunch of text messages to people and be like, hey, Saturday morning, see you at Beans, or whatever.
Right.
It's for me, but in reality, that's a better way for me to serve.
Sure.
Because me going to Beans Cafe in the morning is one person. By comparison to if I invite people, I can get 6 people there.
Yeah.
Or I can get, that's so many more hands, just by me spending, 15 minutes on my phone.
Right. And let's be honest, we spend probably 15 minutes on our phone quite frequently.
Yeah.
Not you, Keith, never.
Never.
Not you, Isaac. Okay, what do you got on your mind, Isaac?
I was gonna say I'm completely opposite. I think I text too much, and people probably get annoyed, and they tell me oh hey.
We all know Isaac's work schedule. The church in
It's really
Fairbanks
a
knows his work
public
schedule.
thing. You might want to keep it more private. And so I gotta work on that. But
no, it's good, man.
Finding a balance.
It's good. It's good. Finding balance for sure. Yeah. Other thoughts, guys?
So
Yeah.
I have back to your question about like the getting back to it.
Yeah.
Like I just have like a general thought, like because there has been so much, and I know like I haven't been invested in every single one.
Yeah, of course.
But,
Of course.
Like, I wonder if there's like a burnout too. Like, and not to say it's an excuse, but
Sure,
like,
yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
life hits, things happen.
Yeah.
And like I'm just wondering if like there's that feeling of burnout.
Yeah.
That people are also coming to as well, and you know finding that balance.
Yeah, and I think that's a great conversation to have, right? Is what is that? I mean, what does that look like, right? Because we don't want to just we don't want to look at people that aren't serving and like you're just selfish and terrible, right? That's not a really good attitude to go about it. But it's diagnosing that, like, okay, so what's really going on? Is it a heart level issue? Again, this comes back to this self-awareness, right? Is it a heart level issue, or is it you've been giving your heart and you it's all gone, right? And you need to recover a little bit. And as a church, opening up that discussion about, you know, where are we as a church family, and what is reasonable for us to do as a church as it relates to getting engaged in the community. I think those are great conversations to have, but it's having them, right? It's getting in. I mean, even in a larger group than this, I mean, we could have this conversation here in this little tiny group, but how do we leak that out? Or even as you go out and you meet with other disciples, if those are the topics of our conversations, and like, oh man, you know, this is what I think about this, or how could we do more, or how do we do it differently so it's not a burnout thing? Those are, wow, like what great conversations to have as you meet in your house churches, as you go out and you're just having coffee with your fellow brother or sister, you know, your family times. Like, what great conversations to have, you know. And I don't have the answer to it. I don't know, but man, opening up that can of worms is a great can of worms to open up, I think. Yeah. What do you say, Isaac?
I was just gonna say, like, with that, it's really important to, I think, not do it on your own. Like, recognize that, but then go to people who will support you. Because I definitely learned that in my early Bible studies with actually Keith and Mikhail and Max, that I really needed that every like weekly thing to keep me accountable. Because if I didn't do that, I wouldn't read my Bible, I wouldn't remember any of the stuff. I just fall back into old habits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's a great question. That was a question that I wanted to ask in my. I skipped it over because I wasn't reading my notes very much. But in my compassion class, what a great question to ask ourselves is like, is there anybody in my life that would let me know if I had a hint of greed? Is there anybody in my life that would call me out on, again, the heart level stuff, or on the other side, like, whoa, you need to calm down, otherwise you're going to burn out and not help anybody, right? Do we have those relationships where someone's going to help us and keep us accountable on that side to push us farther, but also make sure that we're not killing ourselves, making a martyr of ourselves? I had a mentor, Dennis McMillan, he was the CEO and president of the 4 Acre Group, which does a lot of work with nonprofits, and that was one of the best pieces of advice he gave me is don't make yourself a martyr. Like, being martyrs is one thing, making yourself a martyr is a different thing. And that's not a good thing, right? Because then we go down in flames thinking that we've done what is right, but we've not. You know, and so that's a good reminder for us and things to really, again, heart check, right, to go after. So, you know, when we think about this stuff and we're having this conversation, what I want to do is I want to share with you now some of the plans, right? How are we what's this revival gonna look like? What are some of the things that we're doing and that we're going after that are exciting and fun and that I think are gonna build on the culture of service that we have? And the first thing that is most exciting to me is the Gateway to the Arctic Camp. And there's lots of great things. 2019 is going to be an awesome year for the Gateway to the Arctic Camp. A couple things. One, we're going to have 4 Hope Worldwide programs come through there. We've got an agricultural core that's a little bit different, that we're going to come out and tap birch trees all together and make more of the birch syrup, which will be a fun, unique experience. That program is also open to individuals who experience disabilities, and we advertise it as such. So we're hoping that around the kingdom we're going to see more people that want that for their kids and for their family members or their friends that experience disabilities, to get them out on a Hope Youth Corps or Hope Volunteer Corps, because we don't see a whole lot of people with disabilities on these programs. So we're doing stuff like that. We've got the Hope Adventure Corps that we're doing, which is going to be really fun, a different kind of way to connect with God. But the really, really big, exciting picture, I don't know, has this been announced yet? I don't know. The huge and exciting picture with the Gateway to the Arctic Camp this year is that we are making a bid to buy it as a church. And we've got hoops to jump through, and it's not a slam dunk or anything like that, but we are going after that, right? We're going after that, and just from a financial position, I oversee the budgets of the camp and both the Fairbanks and Anchorage churches, and it's just incredible that we are in a financial position to buy it outright. It's just awesome. That is because of you guys, right?
Buy what?
To buy the land that the camp sits on. Right now it's leased. But we're gonna buy it and it's ours. And then there's restrictions that we don't have to worry about. The restrictions on the lease that we had that don't allow us to do certain things. Like for example, the group home thing is like a big confusing thing because it's a business and it's nonprofit. It's a for-profit business renting from a nonprofit to be able to do these things. Like it gets under a lease all kinds of tricky. Right? We'd rather just not have a lease and do what we want so that we can serve people because that's what we want to do, right? Stop putting rules against us serving people. And so we're going to be able to do that, and that's awesome. We're going to continue to employ people who experience disabilities, give them meaningful work. We're going to continue to work with the Naden Family Home to be able to build the group home where the Ted Shed is. That's getting mixed up, and then maybe possibly building another group home on that property to be able to help even more people to live and work there. We're developing a graduation program that's designed to take those individuals that just they're not quite there yet, but we want to help them to develop their independence, to be able to get to a place, and we want this graduation program, 3 years graduation program, to end at a spot where our graduates get off of all government services and that they're just independent and able to do it. And we're Drew is working on a lot of this, what the skills and things to kind of go up to the next level, etc. And so it's so exciting to think about the impact that we can make through the Gateway to the Arctic Camp, not to mention that we're still going to be producing more and more food to give away. And it's so cool to think about what that's going to do. And as we do that, 2019, if we're successful at these things, the Gateway to the Arctic Camp by the end of 2019 is going to be 100% sustainable. Self-funding, right? No more of us having to bug the congregation, be like, give us money. Like, we don't want to do that. We want to be sustainable, and 2019 is going to be the year.
Is it really buggy now? Because it's God's money.
No, whoa, Isaac calling me out. There you go. Boom. That's what I like to hear. So it's going to produce enough income to be able to cover the costs. And just in any organization, from starting a business to going to fully 100% sustainable is it's a huge milestone. And in nonprofit world does not happen in the amount of time that ours is doing it, right? And so it's just so cool. So also, to add on to that, we're also in Fairbanks. We're looking at properties to duplicate this. Yeah. We're gonna have the Arctic Camp.
Gateway to the Arctic can be,
in
the gateway
southernly place. Yeah. But then we're gonna have the real Arctic Camp in Fairbanks, Alaska. I've taken Brian and Keith and Shay to the land that we're looking at. It looks pretty promising. So we're really, really excited about it. And then we want to do the same thing in Fairbanks. Offer meaningful work. That's the big thing. And then the agriculture thing might be a little bit trickier in Fairbanks, but we'll figure it out, right? We're going to figure out how it's going to work and how we can make a difference that way. And so it's going to be cool. And like I said, we're going to offer these Hope Volunteer Corps programs through Hope Worldwide at the camp. But we've also recognized something about these Hope programs is since 2011, we've run 15 of these programs. And in that same time, we've maybe sent, so again, this is probably 60 volunteers a year since 2011 or more. So there's hundreds of volunteers that have come served us. Probably in that same time period, we've sent maybe 5 people from the Alaska churches to go serve Hope Worldwide out of state. Like Holly Vong Belongzi just did one. Edmund Pasquale just did one this year, but that's like 200% more than we normally send. So we're really encouraging people this year to get engaged in a volunteer program, a Hope Worldwide Volunteer Corps program outside of Alaska. Let's give this gift of the culture of service that we have. Let's share it with the rest of the world. And so one of the things that we're really excited about, the GLCC staff, a bunch of the GLCC staff is going to go to the Philippines and participate in a Hope Volunteer Corps in the Philippines in December. So we're really, really fired up about that. But there's so many programs. If you have any questions about those programs, let me know. I'm on the committee that oversees the Hope Volunteer Corps, and I'm also over the committee that provides scholarships to be able to go on some of these programs if you think that it's something that maybe you don't have the money to do at this time. And let me tell you right now, as a member of that volunteer or that scholarship committee, the scholarship committee is incredibly generous. Very not difficult to get money for volunteer corps, especially if you're a student. There are very, 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 very few applications. Maybe one, and we didn't even turn him down. We just told him to rewrite his application, and then we gave him money. So it's one of those things. There are resources available to do that. Also, in this year's church budget, what we added into the Anchorage Church, that's a $5,000 budget to offer scholarships to folks that want to go do this sort of stuff. The Fairbanks budget has a smaller one, $1,000, to be able to encourage people to go out to do this sort of stuff. Sorry, Keith. I tried, right?
Just transfer down to Anchorage.
Yeah, there you go. Just come down to hey. Also, we eliminated our quote-unquote spiritual religious clubs on campus, and now they're all Hope Worldwide clubs. So we've got 2 Hope Worldwide clubs, one in Anchorage, one in Fairbanks, and we're doing tons of service projects through them. And the response from the schools have been awesome. This is not, maybe I should say this out loud, but the UAF,
But I will.
UAF just, they'll let us do, there's rules about how many rooms you can rent and how many things that you're supposed to be able to do on campus, but what is something that you will be interested in? So, I mean, any ideas? I mean, I'm open, and I'm more than happy to share any cool new ideas or partnerships that we might be able to build with Ray and try to go after something that is going to continue to multiply our impact to help people to follow in the footsteps of Jesus. Yeah.
Well, I have a question. What is an example of the spiritual religious groups that
So
you have?
we used to have, our clubs on campus used to be called Simple Truth.
Okay.
And they were called them overtly religious clubs, where we advertised that we do the Jesus thing, and we don't not advertise that now. It's just the club is a Hope Worldwide club, and it's service-based. It's a faith-based service club. And so now the focus is on service, and then we trust that the disciples, as they get involved in service, will share their faith, right? Whereas before it was like, we're a religious club, and so the trouble with it is that we would get a lot of very religious people that were actually not really open to changing their lives, or submitting to what's real as far as the Bible goes. So it attracted a lot of those types of individuals, and not a whole lot of people that actually wanted to do anything about it. They attracted a whole lot of me before I became a Christian. Just religious kids that didn't actually want to live like Christians. So by doing this, we're attracting a whole new group of people that want to actually go out and make a difference.
So now it's all under the Hope.
Yeah, so it's the Hope Worldwide clubs. And so we're not like we're done with faith. No, that's not. It's a faith-based service club, right? Yeah. So it's still very much part of it. Just because now it is service-based officially, and that's all of the way the Hope Worldwide uses the international name. It attracts a whole different type of person, which is cool. Yeah.
Have we looked into going through contacting 4-H clubs or anything like that, since we're doing
4-H clubs we haven't. That'd be a lot of fun. I mean,
especially looking at your property.
I know, yeah, and then just 4-H from the perspective that there's a partnership with the Gateway to the Arctic Camp there for sure, with livestock and stuff like that. Yeah, totally, that's a great idea.
Give a slaughterhouse.
Dude, so our original plan for the Gateway to the Arctic Camp in Fairbanks was to be raise animals and slaughter them.
Yeah, meat.
But that was so we were thinking we grow produce down in Talkeetna, and then we grow meat up in Fairbanks. But then we quickly learned that the slaughterhouse industry is just ridiculously highly regulated, and it would be nearly impossible to break into it from a nonprofit perspective. So it died quick, but it's
just a butcher. Because wouldn't a butcher be a little bit easier, especially with the size you're talking about?
I don't know. Dude,
that's why we need to throw these ideas out.
Do the research, man. Let me know, right? I don't have time to do the research on what butcher shops.
Because there's a difference between you're talking
I'm with you, man.
Which is huge picture, or a local butcher, which is different, which would be a different thing. You could spin it off as in hey, we're growing this organic meat.
Yeah.
And we butchered in house. Go from there, kind of
So you can grow your own. You can raise your own livestock and butcher it, and then you're just a butcher. And
maybe.
not a
I'm not
slaughterhouse.
100% sure,
Okay,
but
so
I know
that's what
because we
I
have
was
like back home we have a whole bunch of little butcher shops, and then we also have big slaughterhouses.
Right.
It's
Right.
like Morrill Meats, which you're probably related to somehow.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
You're probably related to somehow.
I'm a vegan. I oppose the killing of it. I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah.
Sorry if anybody's
That's
vegan.
something. Yeah, I can.
That was a joke.
I don't know what the regulations
A
are.
few years back, my family was, because my mom works for Covenant House. And
Oh,
so
right, okay.
We donated a bunch of meat to Covenant House. Most of it was already processed though.
Yeah.
And cook chef at Covenant House, she said she can use the meat as long as she processes it. If it's pre-processed, it has to be approved by the FDA.
Interesting.
So as long as she has whole meat, she can do it.
But
Gotcha.
But she has to be the one processing.
Interesting. Okay.
So you have
Yeah,
to
so
be
she was
certified person. So
yeah.
that
So
makes
basically, you
sense.
just have to know the standards.
That's the same
Right.
thing. Like, 'cause my parents would sell chickens.
So no more rusty knives. Okay. Got it.
Wash your hands every time.
Things about temperatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. We're in Alaska. It's cold enough, right?
Especially Fairbanks.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. So no, seriously, like, I'm way open to that sort of idea. You know. Yeah. You're running like a gateway to the Arctic camp at your house, Galen. So. Any other thoughts?
You know what would be kind of cool is if there's a way, and I don't know exactly, I know there's a lot of hoops to go through at the hospitals.
Sure.
And being able to help out.
Yeah.
You know, some kind of a support system or, I mean, I know as far as like going to bronchitis and stuff, like that, you have to go through a lot in order to do something like that. But there are other programs and organizations that you can become a part of in there.
Yeah.
Just to go and help to support a lot of these families and
Yeah.
be the agency
Yeah.
with the families and something like that would be really cool too.
Right. Yeah, I know that. So we have a couple, and well, just the husband of the couple, Bob Hansen, up in Fairbanks, is he's a member of the church, and he's like super into hospice, and he does. I mean, he's quiet, and so you don't know. He probably serves more hours than any single member of the church in Fairbanks because he's constantly, like, every day he's doing hospice. He's retired, so he's got time, and he goes out and he does the hospice visits like all day on many days of the week, which is so that's a cool opportunity. I don't know what the requirements are to do something like that. But yeah, I mean it's tough. It's tough on him emotionally because he sometimes works with these people for years and then they die.
Yep.
But yeah, he's very passionate about it.
Olympics.
Yeah, Special Olympics, Special O. We've got a couple folks in Fairbanks. Are you still doing it this year, or is it just Evan?
Evan and Max.
Evan, Max, and I do.
Oh, that's right. You're doing it this year too, Isaac. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a great one. I love Special. Yeah.
They always make them volunteers.
Yeah. Absolutely.